Hey, everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking on your Wednesday night? Wednesday, that means hump day. And as always, we here at the Tom Gulley Show hope you are receiving the full, total, and complete amount of hump that you so desperately crave and you so rightfully deserve. Tonight, we're going to tell you all about Eliot Ness. You may think you know about Eliot Ness, but not like I'm going to tell you about Eliot Ness. And it's going to be very, very, he took down Al Capone, but it could be argued that a serial killer took down Eliot Ness. Jay Bizzle is here. Always good to see you, Jay Bizzle, H2BH. Funky Bronco is wanting to know where Doc has been and how the nipper is. It's about the size of a baseball. We covered this yesterday, Funky Bronco. You may have been drinking. Doc Torn says the Tom Gulley Show is the inspiration behind the song. They call me Mr. Lucky. I don't know that that's true, but it could be. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's good. It could be. I'm glad I got through the day without being beaten with a cane. You have to listen to yesterday's show to really understand what that means. Funky Bronco says, I love your phone calls, Doc. Gilman saying, hey, guys, we do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, as verified by independent sources. Doc Torn says, been working hard on the job, Funky. And Funky Bronco misses his calls. Hey, by the way, by the by, please, if you could, right now, without delay, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, especially like that. Smash that like button on, the old YouTube, or even subscribe, because that helps us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. We do have super chats, and we do have memberships, if you'd like to avail yourselves of those. They help us pay the bills around here, you know what I'm saying? And please, 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 turn on your gifted memberships. It tells how right down there in the scroll at the bottom of the screen. And some generous person may indeed gift you a free membership to the Tom Gulley Show, so you can have access to that members-only content that we do on the weekend. And it's stuff that I'm too scared to put out to the general public. You'd be scared too if you were me. Trust me. Trust me. Doc Torn updating us on his impending fatherhood. Says he's been doing good. Can't wait to see my son soon. Sun Tzu. He was a leader of China in the Ming Dynasty, I think. I'm not certain about that, by the way. Anyway, I think it's getting close to the time where I need to tell you about Eliot Ness. Now, many of you, well, hold on. What's going on here? Like, share, call, super chat, gift membership, send, tell your friends. Tom, love you a long time. Yes. Oh boy, Funky Bronco is saying something about gender that I'm not putting on the screen. I'm sorry, Funky Bronco. I just can't. I can't. I'd like to, but I just can't. Almost spilled my Mountain Dew Zero. Hey, Eliot Ness. Now, a lot of you think of Eliot Ness as this, right here. The Untouchables with Kevin Costner. That's your view of Eliot Ness. Or if you're an older fella or gal like myself, yes, I am a fella or a gal. Yeah, you might remember the Robert Stack version from the late 50s, early 60s. Well, guess what? This is actually Eliot Ness. Yes, he was a Prohibition agent. Prohibition, of course, was that time in our country's history where you couldn't have no alcohol. And he was in charge with cracking down on one Al Capone in Chicago, who was, he was selling booze in speakeasies all over the place. And he was the leader of a team of agents nicknamed the Untouchables, and they were especially hand-picked for their incorruptibility because many of the law enforcement officers, particularly in Chicago, were getting, kickbacks. So he got people that were not corruptible. Now, I will point out to you that the movie The Untouchables and the TV show The Untouchables, and I'm not going to even There was actually a pretty good 90s syndicated Untouchables television show. It was okay. It was pretty good. But I'm not referring to that. Nobody remembers that except for me because I have a sickness. Anyway. Oh, do I need to get some of these? Let me get to some of these comments here real fast so I can get on with Mr. Eliot Ness. Let me put Eliot off to the side here for just a second. He looks so serious. You see the look in his eye? You know what that look says? It says, I need a super chat real bad. Let's see here. Chef is in the house. We always love it when Chef's in the house. Gilman says, I've got whiskey and scotch on the brain. Gonna indulge. Well, you can. Prohibition's over. Dr. Orn says, how about I decide how to parent and you keep your delusions? Whoa, boy. Gosh. Funky Bronco is I think he's been drinking again. And he's just being very contentious and curmudgeonly. People saying hi. Oh, boy. Thank you, Funky Bronco, for updating us on you. Terry Nee says, looks nothing like Kevin Costner. But you know what? For guys of that age, look pretty good. Sometimes you see a movie that's based on true events, and there's a movie star in it. And then you see the real guy, and you're like, ugh, what happened there? Well, Eliot Ness, relatively photogenic gentleman. The Wolf is here. He says, hello, everybody. The Wolf, of course, not in favor of prohibition because he makes liquor and homebrew and all that. Dr. Orn, people saying hi. People saying hi. People saying hi. People saying hi. Most cheerful chat room on the internet is verified by independent sources. So Eliot Ness was born actually in 1903. And I just said that because I like saying 19-aught. You don't, or 18-aught or 17-aught. You don't get a chance to that often. So you got to take advantage of it when it does happen. 1903. And he's actually a Chicago guy. Yeah, he was born in the Roseland neighborhood of Chicago. He had 5 kids in his family growing up. He was the youngest. His parents, Peter and Emma, were both Norwegian immigrants, and they owned a bakery. Yeah. He attended Christian Fenger High School in Chicago. Normally, I wouldn't even mention that, except I find the name Fenger to be so hilarious that you have to tell somebody, where'd you go to high school? I went to Fenger High School. Just sounds silly. Graduated from the University of Chicago, which, for those of you who don't know, is pretty esteemed in the world of academia. Graduated in 1925 with a degree in political science and one in business administration. He was an SAE, a sleep and eat. He began his career as an investigator for the Retail Credit Company of Atlanta, but he was assigned to the Chicago territory, where he did background investigations for credit information. In 1929, he returned to the University of Chicago and took a graduate course in criminology. Now, it's important to note that that class was taught by a guy named August Vollmer. And August Vollmer was a very renowned police reformer and chief of the Berkeley Police Department. His ideas about professionalizing law enforcement would influence Ness throughout his career. Now, make no mistake about it. At this time in American history, many, if not all, of the police departments, and certainly those in the city of Chicago, were on the take. They were getting kickbacks from gangsters and businesses, whoever that they could get a kickback from, they were getting a kickback from. But more importantly, they were not professionals. They were guys that knew how to, run a drunk out of a bar or beat up a masher. They didn't have the skills, the scientific skills, the marksmanship skills, the detective skills. They didn't have professional police training. So, with all that in mind, Ness had a brother-in-law named Alexander Jamie, And he was an agent of the Bureau of Investigations. Now, that bureau later became known as the Federal Bureau of Investigation in 1935, and he strongly encouraged Eliot Ness to enter law enforcement. So, Eliot Ness joined the U.S. Treasury Department in 1926, working in the Bureau of Prohibition in Chicago, which had 1,000 agents. Yes. In March of 1930, Attorney Frank Lesh of the Chicago Crime Commission asked President Herbert Hoover to take down Al Capone. He said, look, we've got a guy here. His name's Al Capone. He's running the city of Chicago, absolutely running it. He owns all the judges. He owns all of the city commissioners. He owns the town. Well, agents of the Bureau of Internal Revenue, working under a couple special agents, were already investigating Al Capone and his associates for income tax evasion. In late 1930, Attorney General William D. Mitchell, seeking a faster end, it was taking too long to prosecute him for income tax evasion, he implemented a plan devised by President Hoover for sending a small team of prohibition agents working under a special United States attorney to target these illegal breweries and supply routes of Al Capone's while gathering evidence of a conspiracy to violate the National Prohibition Act, more informally known as the Volstead Act. Attorney General George E.Q. Johnson he was a U.S. attorney, George E.Q. Johnson. I can't talk this week. I don't know what's happened. I think it's the cold. It's only like 14 right now in Dallas, which is for Dallas very cold. He was the Chicago prosecutor directly in charge of both prohibition and income tax investigations of Capone, and he handpicked the only 27-year-old Eliot Ness, who is now assigned to the Justice Department, to lead this very small squad of investigators. With the corruption of Chicago's law enforcement agents just being ubiquitous, it was everywhere. They were all corrupt. Everybody was corrupt. Ness went through the records of all prohibition agents to create a reliable team, initially just 6 guys, later becoming about 10 guys that would one day become known as the Untouchables. Raids against illegal stills and breweries began in March of 1931, and within 6 months, Ness's agents had destroyed bootlegging operations worth an estimated $500,000. That's about $10 million in 2022 money, representing an additional $2 million. That's $40 million in 2022 money in lost income for Al Capone. And their raids would ultimately cost Capone in excess of $9 million, which is $178 million in 2022 money of lost revenue. He was sticking it to Al Capone, and I mean hard. And the main source of information for the raids was an extensive wiretapping operation. In 1931, a member of Al Capone's gang promised Ness that he would receive $2,000 a week if he simply overlooked their bootlegging activities. Now that's about $40,000 a week in your 2022 dollars. Ness said, nothing doing. Failed attempts by members of the Chicago outfit. The Chicago outfit was, it was Al Capone's Italian-American crime family. It wasn't just Al Capone. He had lieutenants and various people in different regions of the city that were controlling Chicago, but they were known as the Chicago outfit. They kept trying to bribe or intimidate Eliot Ness, and that is what inspired Charles Schwartz of the Chicago Daily News to begin calling them the Untouchables. That's where the name came from, and it stuck. The name then got promoted to the press. The Justice Department was way into that. So was J. Edgar Hoover. There were a lot of people in the government at that time that were trying to create unimpeachable law enforcement officers, and so that really helped their effort. The efforts of Ness and his team inflicted huge financial damage on Capone's operations and led to his indictment on 5,000 violations of the Volstead Act, violating Prohibition. Federal Judge James H. Wilkerson prevented that indictment from coming to trial, instead pursuing the tax evasion case that was built against Capone. In October 1931, Capone was convicted on 3 counts of tax evasion. He was sentenced to 11 years in prison, and following a failed appeal, began his sentence in 1932. In May of 1932, Ness was among federal agents who took Capone from the Cook County Jail to Dearborn Station, where he boarded the Dixie Flyer, which is a train, actually, to the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary. Don't believe what you saw on the TV show. Don't believe what you saw in the movie. This is the only time Al Capone and Eliot Ness were ever known to have met in person, was being taken to jail. That was it. Well, Eliot Ness, as you might imagine, was... Oh, by the way, here's a nice little artifact for you. This is Eliot Ness's oath of office to be the guy. And it's signed as a Prohibition agent. This was the oath he took. This is his signature and everything else. So yeah, there's his oath of office. Doc says Uncle Sam wasn't getting a cut. That's why it's illegal. The Wolf says, oh, Gil, now you will get the point of power. You will exhibit thick, ripped to shreds slabs of muscle with quick feet. That is true. I do have to point out that Gilman has very generously donated a $1.99 super sticker. Thank you, Gilman. Gilman was very interested in this topic to begin with, and is, I think, having scotch and soda or gin and juice or something. And for that, he will receive the most coveted recognition the Tom Gulley Show can bestow, and that is, of course, the point. Yes, that's not Eliot Ness. That is actually me. And there you go for Gilman. Thank you, Gilman, very much for the $1.99. I appreciate it. Doc says, and become even more handsome. Yes, it does also make you more handsome. Much more athletic and pleased as pie on the surface, but very pugnacious underneath. Yes, and a real stick of dynamite. Yes, a real stick of dynamite. There's another shot of Eliot Ness looking as serious as usual. Merrick says, I never could get the timing down for Ness's down B aerial recovery. I don't know what that means, Merrick. I'm sorry. I'm not that smart. Wolf says, you know, Capone liked Templeton Rye. That's what I've heard. I like Templeton Rye. I was tempted to do this entire show imitating Walter Winchell from the TV show. Eliot Ness and his men cornered Frank Nitti in a warehouse near 3rd and 7th Street. In 1932, Ness promoted to chief investigator of the Prohibition Bureau for Chicago. Following the end of Prohibition in 1933, he was assigned as now called tax agent in the Moonshine Mountains of southern Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And in 1934, he was transferred to Cleveland, Ohio. He was. In December of 1935, Cleveland Mayor Harold H. Burton hired Ness as the city's safety director, which put him in charge of both the police and the fire departments. Ness soon began a reform program inspired by the ideas of his old mentor, August Vollmer. Remember his mentor from back there at the University of Chicago? And that focused on professionalizing and modernizing the police, stopping juvenile delinquency, and improving traffic safety. He declared war on the mob, and his primary targets included Big Angelo Leonardo, Little Angelo Sirica, Mo Dalias, John Angarola, George Angersola, and Charge Polizzi. Yeah. Ness was also safety director, and this was bad news for Eliot Ness. This was really bad news, this next thing. And by the way, I am somewhat tempted to do a show tomorrow on this topic. So I'm going to do a show on it anyway. I don't know when, but it could be tomorrow if you guys want it tomorrow. Okay? He was the safety director in Cleveland at the time of the murders known as the Cleveland Torso murders, which happened in Cleveland from 1935 to 1938. Though he had oversight of the police department, he was only just like peripherally involved in that actual investigation. He interrogated one of the prime suspects, a guy named Dr. Francis E. Sweeney, using a polygraph test, which was pretty revolutionary for the time. And at one point, 2 bodies of the victims of the serial killer were placed within view of Eliot Ness's office. And the inability to catch the Cleveland Torso murder guy negatively affected Eliot Ness's perception in the public's eye, because prior to that he had had nothing but spectacular success in his law enforcement career. In 1938, Ness and his wife Edna divorced, and his otherwise successful in Cleveland withered gradually. He especially became unpopular after he had the city's large shanty towns evacuated and burned during the Cleveland Torso murders. Now, his theory was that the murderer was living in one of these shanty towns, and that if he evacuated and burned them, the murderer would either leave town or be forced into a spot where the police could catch him. Cleveland critics targeted his divorce, which at the time was a very negative stigma on the part of people. It was not just he got a divorce like it is today. His high-profile social drinking became an issue. Yeah, Eliot, even though he went after Prohibition really hard, once Prohibition was over, he liked to pop a cork and tip a jug. Although there were no victims in the accident, he did have an accident one night while driving drunk. And Ness, who was afraid he might lose his job, tried to cover it up. And this did not go over well. His involvement in the accident was revealed by a local newspaper, and calls for his resignation went through the roof. But the mayor at the time, Frank Lausch, kept Eliot Ness on staff. In 1939, Eliot married illustrator Eveline Michelot. And in 1942, the Nesses, by the way, he also tried to run for mayor of Washington, D.C. Of Cleveland. He tried to do that. Yeah, he really did. He really did. Gilman, with another $1.99, says, didn't know Super Sicker said me meant Gulley. Well, yes, whatever that, of course. I'm trying to piece that together. But once again, Gilman, you will receive the point. And because you've donated twice, we're going to remove the banner, and we are giving you the full screen point without any obstructions whatsoever. This is what we call the full point, and it's reserved for only very special occasions and very special donations and very special people. So again, thank you very much, Gilman. Highly appreciated. Let's get Eliot Ness back up there. Resemblance? I don't think so. Well, we are both in black and white. At any rate, he moves to Washington, D.C., where he worked for the federal government, as one might imagine. He directed the battle against prostitution in communities surrounding military bases, where venereal disease, the scourge of man, was a serious medical issue. Later, he made a number of attempts to get involved in the corporate world, and they all failed because he just simply was not a businessman. In 1944, he left to become chairman of the Diebold Corporation, which is a security company based in Ohio. After his second divorce and his third marriage, as I mentioned, he went back to Ohio and tried to become the mayor of Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah. That didn't, no. He didn't win. And then in 1951, he left the Diebold Company. In the aftermath, he was forced into taking odd jobs to earn a living. I mean, he really fell far from grace, including a bookstore clerk, a wholesaler of electronic parts, and frozen hamburger patties. I don't understand how you can go to a business and say, I'd like some transistors and some frozen hamburger patties. But apparently, like I said, he wasn't a businessman. By 1956, he came to work for a startup company called the Guarantee Paper Corporation, which claimed to have a new method of watermarking legal and official documents to prevent counterfeiting. Ness was offered the job because of his expertise in law enforcement and moved from Cleveland to Coudersport, Pennsylvania, where much of the investment capital of the company was located. Now, by this time, Eliot Ness is drinking like a fish, really heavily, and spent his free time in a local bar just telling stories about the old days and busting Capone. Guarantee Paper began to fall apart when it became clear that one of Ness's business partners had misrepresented the nature of their supposedly proprietary watermarking process, leaving Ness in serious financial jeopardy. In later years, as I mentioned, he struggled financially. He was nearly penniless at the time of his death, with his role in bringing down Al Capone been largely forgotten. People had moved on. His last two marriages, I just found this interesting. One was to Eveline Michelot, and she was an illustrator. His third and final wife, Elizabeth Anderson Seaver, was an artist. She was a painter, so he liked them artistic ladies. He had an adopted son named Robert. Shortly after the approval for the final galleys, the final sort of proofs and stuff, before a book goes to print, its galleys have to be approved. Not gullies, galleys. And the galleys are what the book is going to look like and what all the words are going to look like, and then they send it to a printer, and they do everything. It's for proofreading and editing and lots of other things. Well, he approved the final galleys for his book called The Untouchables, and he was hoping that that was going to earn him money. But shortly after he approved those, he died of a heart attack in his home in Coudersport, Pennsylvania on May the 16th of 1957. He was only 54 years of age. His body was cremated and his ashes were scattered in one of the small ponds on the grounds of Lakeview Cemetery in Cleveland. An admirer later donated a plot near the pond, and they have like sort of a monumental memorial stone there for him, which is behind me, by the way. There it is. He was survived by his widow, Elizabeth Anderson Seaver, and his adopted son, Robert. There's an archive of Eliot Ness's stuff in the Western Reserve Historical Society, which include a scrapbook of 1928 to 1936, copies of newspaper clippings from 1935 to 1950, a typewritten manuscript detailing Ness's career in Chicago, and miscellaneous papers, including a report on the Fidelity Check Corporation and Guarantee Paper, of which Ness was the president. Of course, you all know Eliot Ness from his depictions in the media. His best-known things are the 1959 TV series The Untouchables with Robert Stack. That's my favorite one, narrated by Walter Winchell. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. North America and all the ships at sea. Flash. And the 1987 film, as I showed you before, The Untouchables with Kevin Costner and Sean Connery and Robert De Niro as Capone. These two fictionalized portrayals, way more than actual history, have inspired a lot of novels, a TV movie, The Return of Eliot Ness, in which Stack returned to the role, and a second very short-lived 1993 TV series titled The Untouchables, which starred Tom Amandes as Ness and William Forsythe as Capone. Actually, a pretty good show. I can't lie. A pretty good show, mostly because of those two guys we just mentioned. Tom Amandes is probably one of the most underrated actors out there. And William Forsythe, you might not know his name, but he's kind of like John Dehner. He's been in everything, usually a tough guy or a bad guy. There was a stage play, and in comic books and other things, it's been pretty much all over the place. He was also portrayed by actor Jim True Frost in the 5th season episode The Good Listener of Boardwalk Empire. There's an author named Max Allan Collins that used Ness as the police contact / best friend character in his series of private eye novels, and quite liberally, by the way. In the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, Frederick Weller portrayed a young Eliot Ness in one of the episodes. He was also portrayed as the roommate of Indiana Jones at the University of Chicago. A video game called The Untouchables was released in 1989 by Ocean Software. Ness is mentioned by FBI agent Jimmy Woo as his idol growing up in episode 4 of We Interrupt This Program of Disney's miniseries WandaVision. Believe this or not, Cleveland-based Great Lakes Brewing Company, which claims several connections to Ness, including the brewery owner's mother having worked as Ness's stenographer, well, they named an amber lager Eliot Ness and included several subtle nods to his career in the beer description and art. There's been a proposed building naming after Eliot Ness. It's, it never really happened. In 2014, a couple senators in Illinois wanted to name the headquarters of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives in Washington after Ness, but it didn't happen. Chicago aldermen, they were going to name a building there, and they said, I don't think he's the guy for this because of all the problems he had after he left Chicago. Yeah. Basically, there's an author out there that thinks Eliot Ness got too much credit for bringing down Capone. So there is a festival and a museum in Coudersport, Pennsylvania. They've been holding an Eliot Ness festival every third weekend in July since 2018, and those include a public reunion of people descended from the original Untouchables, a dramatization of Al Capone's trial, film screenings, author talks, and antique car shows. In 2019, an Eliot Ness museum inspired the town, due to the success of the festival, to open an Eliot Ness museum featuring several antique cars and exhibits describing Ness's life and career. And that really is all I have to tell you about the one and only Eliot Ness. And I think we may do the Cleveland Torso murders tomorrow. Yes, we might just do that. The Wolf says, did you say Walter Mitty? I did not say. Or perhaps you said Mitty the Kid? I don't know. Accident. Yeah, it wasn't really an accident if you're drunk, I guess. 2 highly coveted points of power. Yes, yes. Oh, Chris Cheshire, thank you so much. He says, move over, Gilman. Well, move over indeed. He's getting the point. He's getting the point full screen. He's getting it without super chat and without banner. Chris Cheshire, you've been a breath of fresh air coming in here, knowing all you know about this stuff. And I do appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for being part of the show. And people, very, very complimentary. Huzzah, Chris. Doc says, well, I hope the words do look like properly arranged letters and not a bunch of random numbers. Yeah, that'd be a bunch of hooey. People saying hi to Chris. What's Ness's DUI Chappaquiddick worthy? Yes, that was his Chappaquiddick. Nobody was injured, but he tried to cover it up. That, which is the dumbest thing to cover up, especially back then when people were far less likely to be mad at you for being drunk while driving. Doc says, I can't afford a private eye. My eye is public. Doc says, isn't he a second or third cousin to Loch Ness? You mean the Loch Ness Monster? You mean Nessie? We could do a show on Nessie. Oh, yeah, we could do a show on Nessie. Right now, tomorrow, we're either doing Loch Ness Monster or Cleveland Torso Murders. You guys figure it out on your own. Capture your bounty like Eliot Ness. Fuji's. Thanks, Tom, for this. Well, thank you, Virgo, and thank you for being here. Virgo is a frequent contributor over at The Urban Landlord on YouTube, at The Urban Landlord. And I highly recommend that you check out that particular station. And Virgo, she's very known for her cooking prowess and correcting her own spelling, which we appreciate on the show. The Wolf says, hello, Virgo. People saying hi. People saying hi. Chris Cheshire said, I knew nothing about Ness. Thanks for the information. I would have thought that you knew the TV show, though, because you're a TV show aficionado, maven, expert. The Wolf says, with this many points, there's bound to be a new batch of speed merchants. Very athletic. And all a stick of dynamite. And all of them, when they be good, they be Popeye. But when they be bad, they be Billy the Kid. Doc says, I vote the torso. Red rum. Doc says hi to Virgo. Yeah, Virgo, quite popular this evening. So I tell you what, put a 1 in the chat if you want the Cleveland Torso Murders, and put a 2 in the chat if you want Nessie. Yeah, do that for me, and I'll try to keep track of that. I ran across something today called the Ramree Massacre that occurred during World War II. There was 1,000 Japanese soldiers on this island, a very swampy island, and the British attacked it and pushed them all into the swamps, and the alligators ate them all. But then I started looking into it, and there's way too much controversy about it. I can't be certain what's going on there. So let's see. Doc wants the murders. Thanks for the shout out. Appreciate you. No, don't thank me. You did all the work. Chris would like what was the other thing? Oh, Loch Ness Monster. Yeah, Loch Ness. Chris, fear not. If we don't do it tomorrow, we'll do it next week. We'll do Loch Ness. Gil is voting for the Torso Murders. You know, the Torso Murders might be a good follow-up, because it's right after Eliot Ness here. I'm going to have cars without mufflers. Gotta love them. Anyway, hi, Doc Torn. Number one, I'm creepy like that. We're going to do the Cleveland Torso Murders tomorrow. Next week, I can tell you that we're going to do Loch Ness Monster, and we're going to also do Stephen J. Cannell, a very well-known TV show writer, director, and producer. The Wolf says, I remember 12 was the number of those. I remember 12 was the number of those blue boys in Virginia. Gator will eat what it can. Cajuns will eat any gator we can. Of course you will. Doc says, where's Dupa? This seems like the kind of show she'd fancy. I know it. It's just one of those things. It's a trip to the moon on Gossamer Wings. By the way, the phone lines are open at 972-994-6822 if you'd like to call in. We'd love to have you. Yes, sirree. Florida here, and I love me some gator. Love gator. Well, of course, Doc Torn being a Cajun, he wrestles them, then he prepares them for fine dining. A bevy of fine dining. Yes, we're going to do the Cleveland Torso Murders tomorrow, which might not make you as happy as you think it's going to. That's all I'll say about it. It's only 5 shillings to call. It's free to call, depending upon your provider, I suppose. There is no charge. Free as a bird. Oh, I better put the banner up so people know what the number is. There it is, right there on the screen. Right there on the screen. Should I just put the phone line? You guys know there's super chats. Oh, please like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, especially likes on YouTube and especially subscribes. We need those badly. They help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. Plus, we do offer those super chats and memberships that you've seen people taking advantage of throughout the show. And thank you so much for doing that. And then turn those gifted memberships on. Somebody might give you one. It could happen. I'll just put the number up here. We'll just leave the number, and that's it. And that's it. So, anyway, yeah. Yeah. That's what's happening. And yeah, Stephen J. Cannell, he did all sorts of TV shows that you'll know what they are. Trust me. Love Nessie. Can't wait. Nessie will be next week. So wait, that's it? What's it? I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're referring to. We're going to do Cleveland Torso Murders tomorrow. We're going to do Nessie next week. And we're also going to do Stephen J. Cannell next week. And Friday, we're going to do Overrated, Underrated. I don't know why. It's the least popular of the shows that I do by a long shot. But I just keep plugging away. Just plugging away. I just said that's it. Did I? I don't pay attention to the things I say on this show. Are you crazy? Pay attention to what's being said on this program. Not calling in, overrated. Well, it just depends. If you'd like to call in, then call in. If you don't want to call in, that's fine too. I don't know. I don't need someone to call in. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. That was a very loud lack of muffler. I don't know if you guys heard it or not, but man, was it loud. It was very loud. And unappreciated, I might add. Very unappreciated. Yeah. It's interesting to me that okay, here we go. Yeah, I got you. I hear you. I hear you. Hi, and welcome to the Tom Gulley Show. You're on the air. Oh, we've also got another. Let's see if I merge this call here real quick. Hi, I've got the Wolf and another person. Who's the other person?
Hey, Tom.
Is this Virgo?
Yes, it is.
Wow. Well, Virgo, you already know the wolf.
Who's the wolf?
Kim
I
Warfield.
believe we're on the phone with one of these blue boys.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes, yes, Kim Warfield. So how are you two doing this evening?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm enjoying a glass of wine.
Which you wouldn't be able to do during the times of Eliot Ness and Prohibition.
No, I would not.
Now,
Wolf?
that's not
I'd have to
necessarily
figure out a way to
wine.
make my own wine.
Yes.
You
Wolf,
could
what
have
were
a bathtub gin.
bathtub gin? Wolf, do you make bathtub gin, Wolf?
I make liquor. And that's Likker.
Liquor. Okay. All right. Wolf makes beer that's like, what is it, 40 proof or something?
My refreshing summer ale is 22 proof.
22 proof. Yeah, and you can't.
Yeah, that's a refreshing ale.
Yes, and you can't tell that it's that high in alcohol content, which explains the random bodies on the floor after they've had 2 beers at the Wolf's house.
My poor
Well, Wolf,
neighbor.
you're going to have to teach me.
Oh, it's easy to do. My young neighbor that used to live next to me found out that I made beer and asked me to make him some, and I said, "Well, are you positive that you want to try it?" "Oh yeah." So I made him. I had made some. I used to make it for the guys at work, and they'd buy it. It was like, I think they were giving me like $20 or $30 for 2 liters, and I gave it to him, and I told him, "Look, this comes with a caveat warning. You must not be doing anything important, have any place to go, or any responsibilities before you drink, and only drink it at 8 ounces at a time, or maybe 6. So he wanted to watch, I think he was watching the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I don't know who they were playing, but a couple of days went by and I didn't hear anything, and I saw him outside, and I said, "Hey, how'd you like the beer?" And he's, "Oh my gosh, it's the best beer I've ever tasted. But I don't remember anything after it." And I said, "What?" He said, "Well, you said 8 ounces, so I had 8 ounce glass." And he said, I don't remember anything after that." That particular beer was 48 proof.
48 proof beer.
Yes, I've made 58 proof
Oh man,
before.
That's
Well-
knock you silly.
I'm used to drinking 80 proof rum.
Well, this will have probably a worse effect on you than rum, because you combine several ways of, first of all, the alcohol deprives your brain of oxygen, which makes you loopy. The sugar content causes your insulin levels to spike, which makes you loopy.
Oh,
And so it's like making this drink that I call Guru, which was Aranda's tequila, Dole pineapple juice, Mountain Dew, and then crushed ice. And you have 3 ways of causing you to get loopy. So a glass of that is much worse than something like, probably than drinking 180 proof stuff.
Virgo, I have actually, the Wolf used to make Guru when we were in college together at Ball State, and I have had Guru, and I have seen its effects on other people. And yeah, you'd think you were drinking this delicious, refreshing fizzy, fruity Mountain Dew drink, and the next
A
thing,
girly drink, right?
oh God, you'd end up wandering around the hall. They'd find you somewhere on campus, just absently running into a tree or something. It was
With your
very,
drawers off.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Yes, it was very high test. So now, Virgo, are you from, if I'm not mistaken, is it Haiti?
No, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, okay.
I live in Florida, and my mother is Haitian and my dad is Cuban.
Okay. That's where I'm getting it.
Yes,
That's
I'm
right.
very I'm a mutt, okay? I'm like that puppy you find at the pound.
Well, that's why you know all these delicacies from other countries, because you're
Oh
you're
yeah.
noted for your cooking ability on the Urban Landlord program.
Yes, sir. Me and Stanley, we love to do cooking shows together. And as a matter of fact, we haven't done one in a while.
Oh, wow. What
Yeah,
is
we
your
haven't.
signature dish? When people talk about Virgos, when they look forward to you cooking for, what is your number one, if you have one, your signature dish?
Well, okay. I don't have a signature dish, but what I do love to make, and I get this from my husband, because his parents are from the Midwest, and they were born and raised in Ohio, moved to North Dakota, and so I like to take comfort food and elevate it. So I'll give you an example. Like everybody loves tuna casserole.
Mm-hmm. And everybody just dropped on the call. Thank you, Skype. Crying out loud. Everybody just dropped out. So you like to make comfort food, so you put your spin on, say,
Yeah. For example, I'll give you an example. Tuna casserole. Everybody loves tuna casserole, right? That is a comfort food. So what I'll do is I'll take fresh tuna and I'll bake it in the oven, put some lemon on it, some tarragon, and then bake it for a little bit and let it rest. Flake it like it was from the can, just flake it. And I'll use fresh mushrooms, fresh peas. I'll make my own mushroom sauce and some Gruyere cheese and just bake it with love. I just sprinkle a little bit of love in there. That's what makes it taste good. Just sprinkle a little bit of love.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
But if I wanted to say, what is like maybe my signature dishes is what I grew up learning: Caribbean food, Cuban food, Haitian food, fried pork with rice and beans, oxtails, pernil, which is roast pork, fried plantains. I know I'm making you guys hungry right now.
Yes, me especially. I don't eat before I do the show, because if I eat before I do the show, I'm all groggy and just want to go to sleep. And so by the time the show's over, I would eat my shoe if it had cheese on it. I'm very, very hungry.
Anything tastes good with cheese. I tell you
Yes.
that much.
Yes. Yes.
I did a mac and cheese for Thanksgiving. It was I did it. No, it wasn't the mac and cheese that I did with this cheese. Okay, so scratch that. I did a scallop potato. I did mac and cheese as well, but the scallop potato, I did it with a truffle goat cheese.
Mm-hmm.
It was so good that you know how you usually have leftovers? It was gone.
Oh, wow.
It was gone, and I did it with caramelized onions and sprinkled some bacon on top. Oh my God, it was so good.
Well, bacon, Hey,
Well,
now
yeah, everything tastes better with bacon.
speaking of alcohol, have you ever had absinthe?
No, what is that?
Absinthe is a drink that used to be popular, I would say, in the 1800s, early 1900s. It's green. It's outlawed here in the United States. It's some people call it wormwood absinthe. They do have sort of a version of it here. To get real absinthe, I think even over in Europe, you have to get old absinthe, but it's this weird alcohol that you don't find anymore. But one of the people in the chat, it's derived from several plants, including wormwood. And I don't think that real absinthe is available anymore. It's got a lot of alcohol in it. It's like 74%. It's 90 to 148 proof in the United States. So,
Well, I love my liver, so I I don't know how much of that I can drink.
Right. Well,
but it sounds like antifreeze to me.
Well, it became associated with violent crimes and social disorder. So,
wow.
Yeah, there were people that were drinking it, and I don't know to me, it seems like Jägermeister makes people do crazy, crazy stuff. But it was banned, and it's banned in a lot of countries. Like it's banned in the Netherlands, Switzerland, it's banned here, it's banned in France. But I think in the 90s, they started trying to bring it back. And they brought it back, but they have to keep the alcohol level down to where it's not like real absinthe anymore.
Oh, so you don't get the full effect. That's a bummer.
Right.
Seems like you can make it in your bathtub if you wanted to.
There's little micro distilleries, I think, that make it here and stuff. But anyway, it's something that you would see somebody drinking it had a big revival in Europe in the early 1900s. So
I'm sure they have it in Amsterdam.
Oh, definitely. Although it was banned in the Netherlands, I'm sure they're serving it again. It's something that became kind of in vogue to have at a party where you'd get just a little, like a half a shot of absinthe to try it out. It's got a very, very distinctive taste because of the plants that were involved with it. The Wolf says, I do believe I was kicked thanks to you no-count worthless son of a gun. That's what he calls me.
Oh, my God, Wolf.
Gilman says he loves oxtail. I have tried oxtail on several occasions, and I have never, ever liked it. Now, I'm sure Virgo's going to tell me why that I didn't like it, that it wasn't prepared properly. But I've gone to like really great Jamaican restaurants and everywhere else, and it's just too dry and flavorless for me. I don't know what it is. See if we get the Wolf back on here.
Flavorless?
There he is. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say it's too spicy.
No.
Oxtail is nothing. No, it is not flavorless at all. It is like the most succulent part of the beef.
Yeah,
and it has a distinct flavor as well.
Well, the Wolf is a big cook as well. Wolf, what's your signature dish other than fudge?
All of them.
All of them?
I do enjoy making a delicious coq au vin.
A coq au vin. Well.
Oh, coq au vin. Yes, the coq au vin. Yeah. That is chicken with wine sauce for the uncultured.
Braised onion globes.
Have either of you ever had gator tail? Doc Torn is asking if you've ever had gator.
I've had a whole stuffed gator, and I think, Wolf, you need to invite me over there so we can make one. But you're going to have to do the wrestling and catching.
Gator?
I'm not wrestling a gator. Although we have plenty of them in Florida.
That sounds like one of our fine southern dishes, gator.
Are you in New Orleans?
No, he's.
I'm in California.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were from Louisiana.
No, Doc Torn is from Louisiana, and he says
Oh.
a woman after my own stomach.
I made a great shrimp and grits last weekend.
Yeah,
It was so good.
Doc Torn
I
is
put Gouda cheese in that grit.
He's an authentic Cajun. Doc Torn is. He's got the accent and everything.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's very, very, very Cajun. The Wolf makes everything.
Well, me and Doc could get to cooking. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Yeah, the Wolf makes everything. And because he used to be a professional bodybuilder, he'll like, what I think one time you were cooking up, was it 1 pound or 2 pounds of bacon?
I used to carb up with 2 pounds of pasta.
One day I was talking to you and you were just frying bacon, or maybe you were baking it, but you were just making a ton of bacon.
Now, do you take the pork belly and cure it yourself? That's the test right there. Yeah.
No, I don't do stuff like my grandmother taught me to do anymore.
Oh my God.
Let's see if I can get. I got another person. Let's see if I can add 3 people. I can add another person.
That
Okay.
is some
I
good
do
eating
know
right there.
that bacon grease is a secret to a lot of good flavors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Doc Torn has joined us, and he's probably going to tell us about Cajun cooking.
Ooh, shit, Tom. You know I'm going to tell you about that Cajun cooking.
Oh.
What's your dish? What's your big dish that you make, Doc Torn?
Well, like a lot of Louisianians down here, gumbo.
Gumbo. Oh, yeah.
I love me some gumbo.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Now, do you put the filet powder in there?
Ooh, shit, yeah.
Without the tomatoes, right?
Oh, you never put tomato in your gumbo. That's how you lose that Cajun card.
Yeah, that's Creole gumbo, which is fine. I like that too, but I like Cajun gumbo.
Yeah, that's that real gumbo there.
Well, I heard from an authentic Cajun that every time you heat up a gumbo, it get a little better. 2-day gumbo better than 1-day gumbo. 3-day gumbo, that's some really good gumbo.
I love me some gator tail shrimp and sausage gumbo.
Now, see right there, you really is a woman after my own stomach, yeah?
I like the jambalaya. And Gilman points out that absinthe is not the same without wormwood. That was the hallucinogenic agent in it. So it's got a little bit of a hallucinogenic agent. And if you've ever seen the movie Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman in it, he and Kate Beckinsale go into this abandoned kind of castle area, and there's bottles of absinthe that have been left there that they drink.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyway.
I gotta watch that movie again.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good movie. Yeah, that's a good one. But, yeah, the Wolf's also known for his fudge.
I love me some fudge.
Yeah.
Do you make peanut butter fudge?
I'm thinking about adding cream cheese to it and see what that does.
Oh, man.
Tom, have you still got the picture of that massive cheesecake that I made that was like 4 or 5 inches thick?
I've got it here somewhere. I don't have it where I can get to it, but I do have it. Yes, and just you were just talking about the process, because your fudge is like really thick, isn't it? I mean, not thick in consistency, but
that last one was about 3 inches thick, I think.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Funky Bronco.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. Well, Funky Bronco has this weird love affair going with the Wolf for some reason. and Doc Torn for that. And he says he.
Well, Wolf,
That's only when he taught him.
Wolf, I've learned how to make cheesecake in my Instapot, New York style cheesecake.
Well, I can do it without cooking it. I can do it by cooking it. I can do it all kinds of different ways.
Oh, it comes out so good in the Instapot, let me tell you. As long as you have a spring-form pan.
Hey,
and then I take the Sandy, the Keebler Sandy cookies. So I crumble those, and I use that as the crust.
Have you made it in a cake pan before?
Yeah, I've made it in a cake pan, pie shell pan. I've made it every way, but I love it in the Instapot. It just comes out perfect. Because I'll tell you the truth, I'm not a baker. Like I will fuck up anything that is baked. I need a simple recipe. But during Cousin 19, when I was home and working from home, I was so bored. I started baking and started making mistakes and started learning, how to do things. I perfected the cheesecake in the Instapot, and I perfected focaccia bread.
Well,
I learned how to do most of that stuff when I was 2 years old from my grandmother, who was a pastry chef and cooked all the wealthy people in our town. The president of DePaul University, and she taught me how to make pie, cobblers, and all that stuff. Of course, I wanted to eat all the ingredients before I put them in the shell.
Well,
that's because you're thinking with your stomach, you.
So Virgo,
I always thinking with my stuff.
Virgo, I'm assuming Wolf knows what this is, but are you familiar with boudin?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's that sausage with the rice and the
but Doc Torn, if you could tell everybody what boudin is and how you're supposed to eat it, because I love boudin, but I'm not Cajun, so I put it on a plate and cut it open and eat it like that. But most of the people that I see at the Festival of Acadian or something, they eat it differently, and it's just very unnerving to me.
Oh Lord.
Well, yeah. I mean, there is the way there is the people they like to put on the plate and cut it open like that. But because you don't eat the wrapper the boudin come in. A lot of people, they normally just pop a hole in that and pull it, put the filling out with their finger, with their lips. Some people they cut it open, roll it up in little balls, and they deep fry it like that. They them boudin balls. I mean, there ain't no wrong way to eat boudin unless you're trying to eat the whole thing.
Well, I don't know. It's just like I feel like I'm eating an uncircumcised meal if I don't cut it on the plate, and it's just not that masculine to be seen in public eating a boudin any other way.
Well, fun fact about me: I lived in Louisiana for about 4 years when I went to college. So I got to learn how to cook a lot of good old Cajun food when I was out there.
I got to tell you, I love jambalaya. I can't get enough of it.
So do I.
You ever gone down to the quarter and had them beignets?
I have.
Oh my God. A beignet. Oh, Jesus.
All right. Okay, guys, I'd love to talk to you more, but I got to go. You've made me so hungry now. I gotta.
I was about to raid his fridge.
I gotta end the show, but tomorrow, just for those of you who maybe have gotten a little too hungry watching the show, we'll be talking about the Cleveland torso murders. So maybe that'll put you off your food for just a second. Of course, I know Doc Torn's going. Torso. That's some pretty good eating.
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh dear,
Tom,
Doctor.
I'm Cajun, baby. We eat anything that don't eat us first.
Well, is your lady love back from Las Vegas yet?
No, she ain't gonna be back for a few more days. But after when she leaves from Vegas, she gonna be flying back home to Canada. Which,
Oh,
you know, yeah. I mean, I'm a little sad about that because I'm gonna miss her. But I can fly her down next month or month after.
I gotcha. I figure you're here, so I already knew she wasn't there. If she was there, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be here, and that's fine. I fully support that. So, there's a lot of things people can do that are more productive and enjoyable than being here. But anyway, hey, Virgo, Wolf, Doctor, and three of my favorite people, thank you for calling in this evening and demonstrating that I
thank
can have multiple people on the phone at one time.
Thank
Well,
you,
there
Tom.
you go.
All right. You guys have a good evening. Hopefully you'll be here tomorrow for the
was
No
fun.
good for nothing. You know, good for nothing, Nolan trash.
And Tom, I'll speak to you sooner than later.
All right. Doc Torn,
Alrighty.
always a pleasure, my man.
Thank you, Tom.
Bye.
This is fun.
All right. We'll see you later. They're fine people. We have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, as verified by independent sources. I do have to stop down for just a second and thank Gilman and Chris Cheshire for their kind donations to our efforts this evening. And it's been a great, great, fun show about none other than Eliot Ness. And by the by, tomorrow we will be covering the Cleveland torso murders. But for right now, I'm looking at that old clock on the wall, and it says that, like the Reverend Al Green, it's time for me to get on up out of here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. With all that being said, the only thing left to say is, till next time, we'll see you next time.
They call me Mr. Lucky, and I guess I am. I got a world of hurts living under my shirt. I don't want to talk about that, 'cause I got the love of a beautiful woman. There's nothing's gonna take her